everyone, my name is Ashlyn Writing and I will be doing my presentation today on Chief Marketing Officers. We will start off by discussing what Chief Marketing Officers, also commonly referred to as CMOs, do, their role in the workplace, the different types of CMOs, and how the CMO role can become and remain a stable position in organizations for the long term. Next, we'll move to the firm overview, where I will briefly discuss a few firms where CMOs are prevalent in their organization and explain why that particular type of CMO works for that company and helps maintain their superior level of marketing strategy. Thirdly, we will take a look at the article, Why CMOs Never Last, which touches on the subject of what issues the CMO role and CMOs themselves face in the work environment that cause their role to be less sustainable than other roles in the C-suite, i.e. CEOs, CHROs, CFOs, and the like. We will gain some insight that will allow us to know how CMOs can better operate in the future and how organizations can better set themselves up for success. Then we will take a quick look at what the textbook says about CMOs and see how that compares to the article. And finally, we will conclude with a few questions I had that arose throughout my study of the case and begin looking at the major learning objectives I got from this research. Let's begin. Let's tackle the first question. What does a Chief Marketing Officer do? Well, you would think there would be one right answer, but that's the problem. There isn't. CMOs hold different responsibilities in each company. This position isn't cookie cutter by any means, and neither is the creative personality type who is going to fill it. And not all CMOs should be the same, since individual companies have totally different needs. But their basic responsibilities seem to hold true. In looking at multiple definitions of CMOs, the common thread of their job is as follows. The Chief Marketing Officer is a top-tier executive that is responsible for overseeing the marketing strategy and implementation of a firm, controlling brand strategy, analyzing consumer metrics, and conducting customer outreach. The CMO role, in contrast to all other roles in the C-suite, has an externally facing role. They deal directly with consumer wants and needs and aim to ensure that consumers engage with their firm in a positive manner. CMOs are a dangerous breed. Their decisions can single-handedly make or break your business, which is why finding a good one is so imperative. Because CMOs engage with consumers regularly, it is also important for them to understand not only the firm and its products, but to also have a healthy grasp on the economy, hot topics, viral trends, political turmoil and praise, and other topics of the like. If the CMO understands their firm's consumers and target market to a T, creating an opportunity for their consumers to buy their product comes naturally. Now that we know what a CMO does, let's take a look at them in action. Because no firm was specifically specified in my article, I will be taking a look at 3 different examples of CMOs that I found that have 3 types of CMOs in each of their organizations. The 3 different types of CMOs that are seen regularly throughout different corporations are as follows. There are CMOs that focus on strategy, CMOs that focus on commercialization, and CMOs that focus both on strategy and implementation in an enterprise-wide role. Let's take a look at the first type of CMO, the strategy CMO. As we take a look at the company Unilever, we see Keith Weed, who is their Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. Unilever is a multi-brand organization that specializes in world-leading household name brands that includes Lipton, Axe, Dove, and many other products that you probably find in your home on a regular basis. In fact, 2.5 billion households on any given day have a Unilever product in them. This type of CMO is responsible for decisions of selecting new products and services, locating different experiences that people in their organization can be a part of, the multiple firms positioning. Unilever is a brand that owns many other brands, so they have to decide where their brands are going to best be discovered and where they will best be successful. Keith Weed is the one who is pushing for better standards in the industry, and he's making the decision on cutting back the number of agencies that the brand works with in order to save money and push for quality over quantity. His strategy is to grow a profit margin by reducing the number of brands they promote in order to promote the quality of the brands that they back. As we can see, this type of strategy may not work for everyone, but it does work for this multinational corporation, where they have to make moves and counter moves that will benefit them and their brands in the long run. We will move on to the commercialization type of CFO, and for that we look at Sephora with Deborah Yee as their Senior Vice President of Marketing. Sephora is known for using marketing to sell products that others design. So they take in different types of makeup and then go ahead and sell those back to consumers through their brick and mortar stores. Sephora is known for overseeing traditional and digital efforts to create relationships with their consumers, and Deborah Yee is at the helm. They're known for pushing inspirational marketing messages through digital and social channels and using that data to sell directly to consumers, even including a subscription beauty box service. They have a makeup try-on app that consumers can take a part in as well. And they're usually one of the first companies to try digital tactics, such as Facebook and Instagram Live, Twitter polls, etc. And Sephora has coined the term experiential retail to a whole new level. This commercialization CMO is really focused on creating that type of relationship with her consumers so that they trust her brand and are willing to come back for more. Finally, we will look at the enterprise-wide CMO, which is a blending of the strategy and commercialization CMO. And for that, we look to Netflix's Kelly Bennett, who is their Chief Marketing Officer. Netflix is one of the first and most profitable in its industry, so it does tend to set industry standards in the internet streaming revenue service. And other companies have tended to follow suit. Kelly Bennett has figured out how to get Netflix and their videos and shows into over 150 countries and to do so effectively and correctly. He's done this by ensuring that the languages are correct, that culture barriers are broken, and therefore movies and shows are translated correctly and not offensive, and none of their advertising is offensive in any of those countries well. They are also kind of pioneering in the video streaming services. Their promotion of their own original content and their sales and types of products and pricing are also revolutionary in moving from DVD mail-ins into completely internet-based streaming. As stated in Business Insider, Netflix is not only just the king of content, but it is also the king of marketing that content. As we can see from the 3 different examples that were presented, these 3 different types of CMOs are very, very different and very necessary for each of those companies. Like I said before, a CMO role is not one size fits all. It takes different types of customization, different skill sets, and different knowledges of different industries in order to be able to be successful in a company as a CMO. Next, we are going to take a look at the article, which is titled, "The Trouble with CMOs, Why CMOs Never Last." Now, I know what you're wondering. What does it mean? Why do CMOs never last? Well, let me explain. In a survey conducted through the article, 57% of CMOs surveyed said they have been in their position for 3 years or less. And 74% of them say that they believe their jobs don't allow them to maximize their impact on the business. With the highest turnover rate in the C-suite and only a 4.1-year average for staying in the same job during that time, one has to wonder what is causing the CMOs to leave their jobs so quickly. The challenges CMOs face are broad and unique to their significant position. As stated previously, since the CMO definition is not clearly defined across all enterprises, across all industries, it is very hard for one CMO to jump from industry to industry and be successful there. Along with the lack of definitive roles that a CMO plays, its core responsibilities and the CEO's expectations are also a bit sporadic. In a survey conducted in the article, it said that 80% of CEOs don't trust or are unimpressed with their CMOs. This could very likely be the result of unclear expectations from the CEO, the lack of knowledge of the type of CMO needed for the company, or a faulty presentation of the position to the potential CMO that overpromised and underdelivered. Because of this lack of communication, core responsibilities aren't spelled out, and the CMO is seen as a failure before he even has the chance to make any real change. The article addresses this issue in length, and the authors give clear and concise guidelines as to how to effectively select the right CMO for an organization, which in turn makes the CEO, the CMO, and the company all very happy and promotes cooperation and success for the long run. The authors pose 5 key solutions to selecting your CMO, the first of which being the degree to which consumer insight needs to drive the firm's strategy. If generating consumer insight is a critical competency of the firm, and it helps you determine the types of products you are going to produce, as opposed to if an inward-facing function leads a firm's strategy, such as finance, technology, or manufacturing, you will find both of those select very different CMOs for your company. So determining that first is very important. Next, evaluating the level of difficulty in achieving growth. Is the industry that you're in slow growing and highly competitive, or is growth easy? That will find you a very different type of CMO as well. Moving on to the level of change in the marketplace. If the business model is shifting, how is that going to affect your CMO, and what type of functions is he or she going to promote and produce? Next, a firm needs to look at the historical role of their CMO in the firm. How has the CMO functioned in the past? What are its expectations? By noting these 2 key things and answering these 2 questions, you can find what type of CMO you are looking for. And finally, we are looking at the structure of the firm. Does the structure call for one person to be the head of all marketing functions, or does that task need to be disseminated amongst people and departments in order to be most effective? When looking at all of these solutions as a whole and evaluating these questions as a firm, you will then be able to find the type of CMO that would best fit your organization. By conducting this evaluation, you also set your CMO up for success rather than failure and create an opportunity for the longevity of the CMO now and for the future. A couple of the key concepts that I believe apply themselves to this topic are marketing in the organization and marketing accountability. Marketing in the organization is stated to not be left solely to the marketing department, but is the job of every employee to take the initiative and responsibility to impact the customer, and I most certainly agree. While the CMO is the quality control of the type of advertising that is produced and the channel it is fed into, if there is no one to support the product, it will not be successful. Word of mouth is the most powerful source of advertising, and that is not something the CMO can accomplish on his own. Next, we look at marketing accountability. CMOs are often asked to prove their success and their worth through financial and profitability standards. As we have seen previously in this presentation, by measuring a CMO on dollars alone, we create a culture that fails to value the intangible assets that a great CMO can produce. By shifting our thinking and viewing success by evaluating things such as brand equity, return on marketing investment, and customer lifetime value, we can more accurately assess the value of a CMO. As we conclude, we have covered the role of a CMO, their valuable contributions in the workplace, the issues they face, their proposed solutions to increase their longevity, and have addressed some concepts that lend themselves to promoting a healthier marketing experience. In finishing out this presentation, I will leave you with a couple of questions. What factors are the most important in selecting a CMO? What tangible change can be made to shrink the divide between CEOs and CMOs? In response to the last question, I believe that a healthy knowledge and understanding of how the CMO role will impact the CEO's company is the greatest solution to this gap in company cohesion. Know your organization so well that you enable yourself to find the right CMO for you and your company that will best serve you in the long run. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to access any of the articles mentioned, they are listed here. Thank you so much again for listening, and have a great rest of your week.